Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to salute you and the ranking member, Senator Van Hollen, for your leadership, and also recognize Senator Shaheen for her many years of service and leadership on this committee. Director Patel, when you and I met in my office prior to your confirmation, I described to you a terrible problem that we have throughout rural Maine, and that is the proliferation of illegal marijuana operations connected to transnational Chinese criminal organizations. These grow houses are destroying homes. They're threatening our communities, our public health, and our national security. When I asked your predecessor, Director Ray, about this issue at last year's hearing, he confirmed the connection between these illegal marijuana grow operations and Chinese criminal organizations. Now, Maine's county, particularly our sheriffs, local and state law enforcement are working hard to shut down these grow houses, but they need more help from the federal government to help identify connections to money laundering, human and drug trafficking, and other criminal activity. Has the FBI developed a strategy and dedicated resources toward combating these illegal marijuana grows that are tied to transnational criminal organizations in China? And I would point out that the state of Oklahoma is also disproportionately affected, but these grow operations exist in more than 20 states.
Senator Collins, I remember our conversation vividly and took it to heart, and I appreciated your, I highlight our conversation as one of those examples of allowing me to be educated on what is effectuating citizens across this country. And I use it as an example of we can't quarterback that operation from Washington, D.C. alone. So what we've done since I've taken the seat as the director of the FBI is reprioritize assets to push out into the field to cover down in not just pieces of Maine, but all of Maine. And when we finish this redeployment cycle, hopefully within the next 6 to 9 months, we will not only just have the manpower in the field, but at headquarters, I've prioritized intelligence collection against the CCP that is directly tied to these marijuana grow houses. We have numerous new investigations open on just these matters alone, but the field is telling me what you're telling me. We need more folks out there. I'm trying to put them out there as fast as I can, but I also can't cripple the needs in Washington, D.C., so we're doing it in a timeline fashion of 30, 60, 90-day pushes as best as we can.
Thank you. I hope that we can come up with a strategy that involves DEA, the FBI, our sheriffs, everybody involved. There's still more than 200 of these suspected houses that are the illegal growing operations. Second question that I want to ask you has to do with a questionnaire that was sent out to FBI employees prior to your confirmation by the acting leadership at the Department of Justice. The intent was to scrutinize the operations of the FBI's employees, but it also had a chilling effect because agents were asked to identify investigations and cases that they've been involved with, including if they had been involved in investigations of individuals who were involved in the violence that occurred at the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Once the Attorney General was confirmed, I wrote to her and urged her to ensure that all such evaluations be done very carefully and not result in unfair adverse actions against FBI personnel who, after all, do not pick, for the most part, the cases. They're assigned cases. and they've dedicated their careers to public safety. Have you taken any further action to scrutinize the FBI personnel for their involvement in certain investigations? And has the questionnaire that was sent to field employees led to any subsequent adverse personnel actions?
Thank you, Senator. I think you're referring to two separate questionnaires, let's call them. One relates to January 6th, and one relates to providing an update to your supervisors as to what you're doing or on a weekly basis. Addressing the first one related to January 6th, no one has been adversely impacted nor will be at the FBI under that mandate because the same guidelines will always be adhered to. You will not be removed from your employment at the FBI unless you violate the law or your ethical guidelines. On the January 6th matter specifically, Senator, it's currently in litigation with the Department of Justice, so I'm limited in what else I can say about that because it is with the court, the federal court. On the email, I believe you're referencing since I came in, about the work to the workforce, directing them to highlight, I think it was up to 5 things they were doing. When that came in, I was the FBI director, and I immediately put a halt to that. I also worked with our Department of Justice and our White House and said, due to operational needs, we cannot force our employees to provide such information. So that's how we addressed it, and we also left an opportunity to all employees, should they find a desire to send that information, to do so to their supervisors on a classified system and work it up through their chain of command. But we are not mandating it for anybody.
Thank you.
Senator Collins, thank you. I now recognize the ranking member.